Story 1. I still get chills just thinking about that night. It was supposed to be a simple dare, nothing more than a stupid prank to prove I wasn't scared. I mean, who would be? The house was old and run down, sure, but it wasn't like it was actually haunted. Or, at least, that's what I thought. The place had been abandoned for decades, standing like a skeleton on the edge of town. Windows broken, doors hanging off their hinges. It was the kind of place you'd avoid on instinct. But when my friends dared me to go inside and stay for an hour, I couldn't back down. I wasn't going to be the coward of the group. I remember stepping over the threshold, the old wooden floor creaking under my weight. The air inside was thick with dust and decay, but there was something else too, an odd sense of being watched. The house was silent, but it was a heavy silence, like it was holding its breath, waiting for something. I walked through the first floor, my flashlight beam flickering across peeling wallpaper and shattered furniture. Every sound seemed amplified. The rustle of leaves outside, the creak of the floorboards, the distant drip of water somewhere deep within the house. But I told myself it was just the wind, just the house settling. Then I found the stairs. I don't know why I decided to go up. Maybe it was curiosity, or maybe it was the feeling that something was pulling me, drawing me deeper into the house. The stairs groaned with every step, each one sounding like a warning. When I reached the top, I saw a long, dark hallway stretching out before me, lined with closed doors. I walked slowly, my flashlight barely cutting through the darkness. Each door I passed seemed to whisper as I went by, a soft, almost inaudible sound that made my skin crawl. I was about to turn back when I heard it, a faint, rhythmic thumping coming from behind one of the doors. It was so soft at first that I thought I was imagining it, but it grew louder, more insistent. My heart pounded as I reached for the door handle, my hand shaking. The door creaked open, revealing a small room, empty except for a single rocking chair in the corner. The chair was moving, slowly rocking back and forth on its own. I froze, my breath caught in my throat. There was no one there, no one visible at least, but the chair kept moving, as if someone or something was sitting in it. That's when the temperature dropped, a bone-chilling cold that sank deep into my bones. The air grew heavy, oppressive, and I felt a presence, a malevolent force that filled the room, watching me. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind me. I spun around, but there was no one there. The walls seemed to close in, and the air felt thick, suffocating. The room began to blur, like the shadows were shifting, crawling toward me. Panic surged through me, and I bolted for the door, yanking it open with a force I didn't know I had. I stumbled back into the hallway, the oppressive feeling still clinging to me like a dark cloud. I didn't care about the dare anymore. I just needed to get out. I ran down the stairs, nearly tripping in my haste. The house seemed to come alive around me. The walls groaned, the floor buckled, and the doors slammed shut, one after the other, as I passed them. It was like the house itself was trying to keep me inside. When I finally reached the front door, it was stuck, refusing to budge. I threw my weight against it, feeling the cold breath of whatever was behind me getting closer. With one final push, the door flew open and I tumbled outside, landing hard on the overgrown grass. The moment I was out, the door slammed shut with a deafening crash, and the house fell silent once more. I scrambled to my feet and ran, not stopping until I was back at my friend's house, breathless and shaking. I don't know what was in that house, what sort of evil lurks there, but I've never gone back to find out. The memory of that rocking chair and the cold, malevolent presence still haunts me. I'm just grateful I made it out alive, and I'll never be stupid enough to set foot in that place again. Story 2. I never thought a simple food delivery would turn into the most terrifying experience of my life. It started off as just another night on the job, pick up the order, drop it off, and move on to the next. I'd been doing this for years, and nothing really fazed me anymore. At least, that's what I thought. It was a slow night, and I was just about ready to call it quits when a new order came in. The address was on the outskirts of town, a place I'd never delivered to before. I double-checked the location on the map. It didn't seem right, but the app confirmed it. 23 Elmwood Drive. The name didn't ring a bell until I started driving. As I got closer, the houses became more spaced out, and the streets grew darker, the streetlights flickering as if they were struggling to stay on. Finally, I turned onto Elmwood Drive and realized where I was heading. The old Harper house. Everyone in town knew about the Harper place. It had been abandoned for years, ever since the family that lived there mysteriously vanished one night. The stories about what happened were all over the place. Some said it was haunted, others claimed it was cursed, but most people just stayed away, including me. But a job's a job, and I wasn't about to turn back. The road leading up to the house was overgrown, the branches of old trees reaching out like twisted arms. As I pulled up to the driveway, the house came into view, looming over me like some kind of dark sentinel. It was massive, with peeling paint, broken windows, and an eerie stillness that made my skin crawl. I parked the car, leaving the engine running, and grabbed the bag of food. The place looked completely abandoned, so I figured it had to be some kind of prank. Maybe some kids ordered the food just to mess with the delivery guy. Still, I'd come this far, so I walked up to the front door and knocked. The door creaked open on its own, slowly swinging inward to reveal a dark, empty hallway. I hesitated, every instinct screaming at me to turn around and leave. But something compelled me to step inside, like an invisible hand pushing me forward. "Hello?" I called out, my voice echoing through the empty house. There was no answer, just the sound of the wind whistling through the broken windows. The air was thick with dust, and the place smelled of mold and decay. I took a few steps in, my eyes adjusting to the dim light, and saw a faint glow coming from deeper within the house. I followed the light, moving slowly, my footsteps echoing on the old wooden floor. As I got closer, I noticed the temperature dropping, a chill seeping into my bones. The light was coming from a room at the end of the hallway, and the closer I got, the more I felt like I was being watched. When I reached the doorway, I peeked inside and saw a single candle burning on a table in the middle of the room. The flame flickered, casting long, twisted shadows on the walls. The room was empty except for the table and a large, ornate mirror hanging on the wall opposite the door. I stepped inside, my breath visible in the cold air. I set the bag of food down on the table, hoping that would be the end of it. But then I heard a sound, a soft, shuffling noise, like someone moving behind me. I turned around, but there was no one there, just the shadows dancing on the walls. But when I looked into the mirror, my blood ran cold. The reflection in the mirror wasn't just me, it was me, but standing next to someone. A tall, dark figure loomed behind me, its features obscured, but I could feel its eyes on me, boring into the back of my skull. I spun around again, but the room was empty. My heart was pounding, and I could barely breathe. The candle flickered wildly, and I heard the shuffling sound again, closer this time. The shadows on the walls seemed to stretch and twist, reaching out toward me. I bolted for the door, not caring about the delivery, the money, or anything else. As I ran down the hallway, the temperature dropped even further, and I felt something cold and heavy brush against my back, like icy fingers trying to grab hold of me. I didn't stop running until I was back outside, slamming the door behind me. I jumped into my car, the engine still running, and peeled out of there as fast as I could. In the rearview mirror, I saw the house standing silent and dark, the front door now closed. But for just a second, I thought I saw a shadowy figure standing in the window, watching me leave. I didn't report the delivery. I didn't care about the money. All I cared about was getting as far away from that place as possible. I don't know what was in that house, or who or what placed that order, but one thing's for sure, I'm never going back.